Hey, what's up everybody? This is Torch, and thank you so much for tuning into another video here on This Is Torch on YouTube. I'm a drummer, I'm a producer, and I'm also the author behind the book Trap Style Drumming for the acoustic and hybrid drum set, available at Hudson Music, as well as my website, ThisIsTorch.com. And today I have another Ableton tutorial. This time I'm going to talk about how you can create live multi-effects channel inside of Ableton. This way you can play, whether you're playing guitar or a MIDI instrument or drums, and you want to be able to toggle between various effects instantaneously. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So let's jump into Ableton and I'm going to show you how it's done. Okay, so here we are in Ableton, and I already kind of have something set up here. I just want to kind of demonstrate a little bit what we're going to go through today. So I just kind of have a MIDI keyboard sound going on in here. And so if I just kind of go through some of the effects here, you can see I have a dry setting, I have a reverb, I have a delay, some saturation, just kind of for a cool distortion effect. Then I have kind of a combination effect here, delay and saturation. All effects together at once. Then I have a saturation, and this one right here will be saturation, but it also utilizes the reverb and delay sends. So sounds like this. And then I have kind of just a weird kind of sound effect. This is just if you want to do some creative kind of automated effects. This can be anything that you want it to do. But for this one, I'm just going to show a pitch automation. So kind of a weird sound, maybe not the most practical, but it's about the concept when it comes to this. So now that you've kind of seen that, I'm going to kind of run you through the steps of how you can create all of these things. So let's just kind of get rid of this effects chain here. And I'm just going to leave my keyboard sound here. Again, I'm using addictive keys. The next thing you want to do is you want to create an audio channel. So I have an audio channel here. I'm going to rename that effects. This is where all of my effects and everything is going to be. The next thing you want to do is you want to send your piano sound or your guitar sound or drum sound or whatever it is that you're going to be playing. You want to be able to send that into your effects channel. That's where we're going to be listening to everything. Okay, so you're going to come down here to where it says audio 2, and we're going to send that to effects right here. So now if I play, uh-oh, I can't hear anything. I can see that I'm getting some signal here, but I don't hear anything. That's because we need to switch our monitor settings. So I'm going to come over here and switch it to in. And of course, you're going to hear a double This Is Torch. So let's actually fix that. Go to your inputs here and just select no input, right? Because that's just taking the signal from my microphone at the same time. We don't want that. So the next thing also we want to do is create another audio channel. Now this is just going to be a temporary thing. What we want to create is an audio dummy clip. Now actually the first thing I probably should do is show you this with a MIDI channel. So you can create dummy clips using the MIDI channel as well. And it's very easy to do. All you have to do is double click and you have a blank MIDI clip that you can use for whatever your purposes are. But we're not going to do that since we're using an audio channel here to go between live effects, live audio effects. We have to create instead an audio channel. In order to get an audio dummy clip, what we have to do is just record a little bit of space. We're not recording anything specifically. We're just recording basically silence. So we're going to come down on my audio channel here, record arm, and then just let this record for a few seconds. Okay, so that's enough. And you can see down here I have a little bit of signal here. That's also something we don't want. So we want to come into here and we'll just turn the gain for this all the way down so it's inaudible. It just needs to be a silent clip. And then I'm going to drag this into my effects channel. Now we can just kind of trash that. Don't need it. And then I'm going to go ahead and label this dry, because this is going to be kind of our dry signal. It's not going to be colored or affected in any way. It's going to be kind of our default setting that we're going to go with. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is maybe think about some of the effects that we want to use. Now, I'm not going to go with any special sort of effects. I'm just going to kind of select these at random. But if you have effects in mind, go ahead and use those. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just go with just like a reverb or something. So I'm going to come in here, grab a reverb, throw that on my effects channel. Okay, so it's very important to kind of follow this workflow. Now you can get the end result of this in a couple different ways, but it might take longer. And I find that this workflow, this approach is actually the most efficient time-wise. So just pay very special attention to the steps and the workflow when it comes to this. The next thing we want to do is we want to take this dry dummy clip here and we want to copy it. So in order to do that, I'm going to press Option, click. I'm just going to drag down and that duplicates it automatically. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go down to my effect here and I want to make sure that this is off. Now this does a couple of things. Obviously I turn it off, but the other thing it does is when I turn it off using the device on or off button is it actually activates that parameter. If you were to go around and turn a knob or press any of these other parameters, it's gonna activate that parameter. For what we're trying to do, we just want to toggle this on and off just so that we have that activated. But it's also important for these steps to go smoothly to click it off, because we're going to turn it on in this next step. So double click on your next clip here. We're going to actually rename this reverb. Okay, so I'm going to double click that. And because I've clicked the on off button, if I go into my envelope settings, you can see that the reverb effect is selected and the parameter for the device on or off is also selected in this menu. So what we want to do is go into our automation here and click that and turn it up so that it's on. So now if I go up to my channel here, if I click on this reverb, my reverb will turn on. If I click on my dry, it'll turn off. The reason it turns off is because this dry clip has no automation data in it at all. So it's just kind of at a default square one setting. Okay, so we have a reverb. Maybe we'll go for a saturation. So let's try doing that. Let's go to our saturation here, just drop it on there. So we have there. I'll just kind of do a couple little settings here that I like. I'm going to drive it all the way up and turn it down just a little bit. Just to have something kind of drivey and cool. All right. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to option, click, drag that down. And this is, again, this is going to be kind of how you want to work. You're always going to want to drag or duplicate the dry dummy clip first, because then you're going to set that up with the new effect. Click this off so that that's selected. I like to click the play button here also to just make sure that everything's at square one. It's just sort of a habit. Okay, then I'm going to double click on that clip and you can see under the envelope settings we got saturator, device on, same thing as the reverb from before. Click that and turn it on. I'm going to go back into my channel. Let's rename this saturation. Okay, so now we have our saturation. If I press this, my saturation turns on, my reverb stays off. If I go to my reverb turns on, my saturator turns off. And then of course, if I go to dry, everything is off. I've tried this other ways and it gets a little wonky. So again, be sure to follow this workflow. Let's add another effect here. Maybe we'll go with a delay. So I'm going to go into some delay. Just grab a basic Ableton stock delay. I'm going to make it a ping pong just because I like the stereo effect it has. I'm going to go back up here, click on dry, option, click, drag down to duplicate. Let's press play on this clip to bring everything to square one. And make sure also, let's turn our delay off. Okay. Let's go double click on this dry, the new dry clip. And again, envelope settings. We're on our delay, device on setting. Let's turn that on. Okay, great. Now we're back in our channel. Let's go ahead and rename this delay. Awesome. All right, so if we press that, delay, we have some delay. Okay, that's cool. So now we have kind of our individual effects, which is great. But we also may want to combine effects. So let's say I want to do a delay, but I want to have a saturation as well. So let's go ahead and do the thing we've been doing before. Option, click on the dry dummy clip, drag that down to duplicate. And let's kind of rename this first. Let's go saturator and delay combination, just so we can stay organized. Let's go ahead and press play on our dummy clip here. Remember, this is a dead clip for now. We haven't set anything up, but as you can see, it sets everything up to the default setting. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to go down to my saturator. I'm going to click on and back off. Now I can set that parameter through my clip. Then I'm going to double click on my saturation delay clip here. Under where it says envelope, saturator, device on, click that, bring it up so it's on. Go back into my channel, do exactly the same thing for my delay, turn it on, turn it off, go into my saturation delay clip, envelopes, delay is set, device on parameter is set, click on the automation, turn it on. Go back into my channel, so now if I press this, I can get both of the effects at the same time. We got a nice saturation combined with a delay. Cool. So the next thing we can do here is maybe we want to grab one of our effects, but we want to also send it through one of our aux channels here. Maybe we want to combine that with a reverb or a delay on an aux channel. So maybe I'll take my saturation and I'll just kind of copy that down. So let's go option, click, duplicate that down. I'm just going to widen that out so we can label this better. Let's do saturation and let's combine it with both reverb and delay sends. So I'm going to go reverb, delay, right? Press play. So our saturator is up. I'm going to double click on here. And as I was kind of saying before, if you want to adjust certain parameters within Ableton using an audio clip or dummy clip, MIDI dummy clip, all you have to do is just turn or push whatever parameter it is. So in this case, I'm going to turn my reverb send. Okay, so that is now set up here under the envelope section, under our mixer and our reverb. So now all I have to do is turn that up You can turn this up to whatever setting it is, whatever setting makes sense to you. But I'm going to turn it all the way up so we can definitely hear it. I'm going to do exactly the same thing for my delay send. So I'm going to turn my delay send to activate that. And then down here under envelopes, you see that the delay send is activated. I'm going to go ahead and turn that all the way up as well. And then of course you can go into these effects and adjust them how you would like. So I'll just turn up, the effects a little bit here and there, or tweak them however I like them. Okay. So now if I press this clip, I should have saturation, reverb, and delay at the same time. And you can see that I'm getting signal out of these sends as well. So the next technique we can do is just kind of automating parameters across time. So one thing we can do is go ahead and create another dummy clip. For this, we don't want to use the same dummy clip, right? Because that's just kind of, it's just kind of a short clip to kind of activate things. For this time-based automation, I think I want to have at least 4 measures of space. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to come down here on this new audio channel, and I'm going to record arm it, and I'm going to put my metronome on just so it helps me keep my place in the timing here. And I'm going to press the record button. I'm going to let it record basically silence for about 4 bars. Okay, so we have an audio dummy clip that is 4 bars in length. Once again, because I have a microphone going on and I have my input here set, I need to turn this all the way down. So I'm going to come down here into my clip settings. I'm just going to gain it all the way down so we can't hear any room noise or microphone or any of that stuff. And then what I'll do is I'll drag this clip back in here. And once again, trash that other audio channel, don't need it. And we'll just kind of name this one something fun, like weird pitch automate. So for that, I think we're going to go ahead and use an interesting effect, maybe not something stock from Ableton. I'm going to go with Sound Toys Little Altar Boy. Most of you are probably familiar with this effect. It's used on everything these days. So the first thing I do want to do here is turn this off. Now that I've turned this off, I can go ahead into my clip here, double click, and I go down to my envelope settings, Little Altar Boy, device on. I can go ahead and click that so it's on. Okay, so let's just make sure that works. And it does. Okay, and if I switch between my effects, everything else is still working properly. Okay, perfect. All right, so we've done all kind of the same automations that we've done before in terms of turning things off and on and all that stuff. But I want to do something a little bit more interesting, which is to automate some parameters within a plugin like this Sound Toys Little Altar Boy. And I'm going to go ahead and play with this pitch knob here. So in order to do that, I'm actually going to go double click into this clip again. And I'm already on Little Altar Boy. I just have to click on the other setting here and go down to where all the other parameters are listed, and I'm going to go ahead and select pitch. So now I have 4 bars of time to play with. So I can go ahead and just draw in a bunch of weird stuff. Just go crazy. Why not? I'm just going like up and down, all around. Don't even care. Because whatever. All right, so there we go. Nice, interesting shape. This is going to automate our pitch wheel. And if I go ahead and play my piano, it's going to go all over the place in pitch. So let's check what that sounds like. You know you like that. Anyway, yes, maybe in this particular application, it's not the most practical, but you guys are creative. You'll figure out a way to use that. One way that I figure I might be able to use it is maybe for pitching drums or something, you know, up and down. Sort of like a trap, pitching up and down. This may not be exactly the way that I would do it, but try things out. So actually, let's do that. Let's go ahead and create another MIDI channel. This time, we're just going to do drums. And then I'll put a drum rack in here. And because I just want to hear drums, I'm going to make sure that the record arm on the keys is off. And I'm going to go ahead and arm the drums. And let's just find where our drums are living here. Okay, let's go with this snare right here. Next, let's go find a kick. Good enough. Okay. All right, we got our drums. Let's set it up so that we can hear our effects for these drums. So remember, you have to send your sound to the effects. So I'm going to come down here to Audio 2, click the drop-down menu, click my effects, so the drum sounds are being routed through my effects. Oh, that already sounds kind of cool. Well, let's select dry. Okay, not bad. All right, first things first though. If you notice, if I'm switching between all of these different effects, there is a little bit of a lag. That is because we haven't done one of the last kind of important steps. I want to be able to switch between each of these pretty instantaneously. So in order to do that, I'm just going to double click on one of these. I'm going to shift and click so that they're all selected. And then I need to go into my clip parameters, and under the launch tab, I need to go under quantize, click that, and select none so that there's no quantization at all. Now that that's done, I can now switch between these pretty quickly without any weird lagging. Okay, here's my drums again. Here's dry. Next, reverb. Saturation. Delay. All right, that's just a whole mess. Saturation and delay. Saturation and reverb and delay coming through our sends. And then our weird pitch automate. All right, so anyway, it sounds pretty cool on drums. So that might be a cool little technique you want to steal. I might use that. Anyway, the other thing you can do, which is basically the same concept, But you can also do the same kind of effects chain on each of these instruments individually. Say you have a guitar, you can put your guitar through different types of amps and things like that, and you can switch between that. You can do like a clean setting, you can do a drivey setting, different amp sounds and all that stuff. That's one good application for this. And then after that, you can send it into like reverbs and delays and stuff like that. So this can get pretty crazy. It can get as crazy as you want it to go. But this is, I think this is a pretty cool like concept you can use, especially in a live setting. And perhaps you can use this in your production as well in like a template or something. But that's pretty much the tutorial, and I hope that's inspiring for you. You can try this stuff out. Maybe you can come up with some cool ideas. And I think that's it for me. This is Torch signing off. Peace.